So in order for things to change, we need to make some changes. We need to start thinking differently about things in life. We need to make things happen. We need to unclutter our lives, get the um, the stuff that's around us out of the way. And there's different forms of clutter. Some people are very neat in their houses, neat as a pin, but then maybe their cupboards are full of stuff, or their garage. If you're using your garage as a storage and your car's parked outside, then that's a problem because the stuff in your garage is generally not the same value as what your vehicle is. And we can discuss a few of those things tonight. We're going to discuss the word that has become a new exciting word. And I'm not saying this is what you need to do or you need to go according to the book or the suggestions, but just grab some of the thoughts that I'm going to share with you tonight and make it personal to you because everyone's going to be be thinking differently about life. Of course, our lives are hectic. They are sometimes cluttered, full of stuff. Things are lying around. I walked into, and I need to work on this myself. I can tell you, I have to work on this myself all the time because I'm working with stuff every day. I've got one room full of stuff that I've bought off auctions, and that results that's often it's disorganized. So I'm not saying giving you a presentation and saying I'm perfect in this. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to and practice what I'm preaching. So when you look at, I walked into this house. These people downscaled. They went on pension, and they sold their house. They're in their early 70s, and when they sold their house, they bought a caravan. Now they've moved to a small one-bedroom bachelor cottage. You walk in there, and there's hardly place to walk because there's stuff all over the place. It's stuff, folks. It's it's the stuff that you and I would normally have, but it's not organized. It's all over the place. And then you feel already uncomfortable in that space. So we end up buying they say the average American household is anything from 150 to 200,000 items, toys and trinkets and doilies and little mats and things, shampoo and soap and all of that. And they are lying all over the place. Things that haven't even been opened. You get these gifts. I looked at the other day, I saw this gift that my wife received a little while ago with cream and soap and whatever, and she hadn't even opened it yet. So I need to ask you tonight, when are you going to open this, or you're going to just pass it on to someone that will need it? So our lives become, and you know, when my wife comes home and the kitchen there's stuff lying all over the kitchen and the kitchen table is full of stuff. She actually feels cluttered. She feels tired. So clutter actually emotionally discharges you. It makes discharges your battery. It's like when you're on your phone for an hour, then your battery goes down like 20 to 20%. And you think, wow, it went down quickly. It's because you're putting so much energy on that. So we're going to talk a little bit about minimalism tonight and how to make your life a little bit more happier and more organized. And what's the reason for this? The reason is that just that. It's you want your life to be, I think if we look at um, The other day I spoke to someone about having too many tabs open. On your browser, when you go into your browser, then you open a different tab, one for Facebook, one for Instagram, one for this website, one for YouTube, one for, and you've got all these tabs open. And in your brain, it's the same thing. You're jumping from one tab to another. That's why the Life Edit program is going to be so important, just to help you, close those tabs. How can you close your tabs that you just have one tab open, that you can focus on the ebook that you're reading? Because we spend so much time on little snippets of information that we actually never read a book anymore. And having books is a very essential part of life, because it disciplines yourself to actually sit down and focus a certain amount of time on reading. Now, some of you have heard about the Chinese, or it's actually Japanese thing that they started many years ago, thousands of years ago, called Feng Shui. It's the art of having the best flow of energy in your home. I mean, you feel bad walking in, like I felt today, into someone's house and there was stuff lying everywhere. But when you walk into a clear room where everything is in its place, it feels like where you feel free to move. And I'm going to tell you a little story of several years ago, and I'm talking about 1999. I was in Pretoria. I had a job opportunity which I had to meet the sales manager. And I then had this opportunity to do rep work, a sales rep in the Northern Province. And I ended up in Polokwane, and I was doing that for probably a year and a half. And then my sales manager, I don't know if he wanted to close, but him and I had a disagreement, and he paid me 3 months' salary. So I went and worked for a Ford dealership. Now, the Ford dealership at that time had the Mitsubishi Pajero floor also. They had the franchise. And so I had to man the Pajero floor while the other salesmen were on the Ford floor. So I was sitting alone on a nice big floor with about 6 or 7 vehicles, and they were high-end vehicles, because the Pajero cheapest one at that time was like 199,000, and went up to 500,000. I mean, and that was year 2000. 25 years later, the cheapest of those small vehicles are like 450, 550 now. But when I went into that place, I found I was like Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe, every day that passed, he put a little notch on the tree, on a board or something. So he knew how many days he was there. And what I did is I did little notches in my diary to say, today, 5 people walked in on the floor. Today, 6 people walked in. Today, 9 people walked in. Today, the next day, 3 people walked in. And I realized, but something is wrong here. There's not a lot of feet walking into this place. So I found out there was this lady who did Feng Shui. And I went to her and I drew this floor plan. I should show you what the floor plan looked like. And I said, you help me with this. And obviously I paid her for it. And she said, she started laughing. I said, what you laughing about? She says, no wonder you're not getting any clients. I said, why? She says, basically, when you walk into a shop, you don't want to see a salesman right away. You don't want to see a desk facing you. She says that's the first impression. The person immediately makes a U-turn because they don't want to see somebody approaching them. They don't want to, you're pushing them out. So I changed the floor plan according to her suggestions. The next morning, I was sitting with a big grin on my face because I'm happy. I made some changes, and the sales manager walks in and he went ballistic. He said, "What's going on here? Why have you moved the vehicles? Why?" I said, what was his name? Dave or something. I said, "Dave, I have," I told him the story and I said, "Give me 1 week. Here's my amount of people that have been coming in since I've worked here. I've not had any bites. No one's wanted to buy any vehicles." And he said, "Well, because I became friends with him," he said, "Okay, I'll give you a week." After 1 week, I had from an average of 7 people, 6 to 7 people a day coming in. I was sitting at 29 to 35 people a day walking in just to look at the vehicles. And I said, "Well, there's something that I'm doing that's attracting them without any signs up, without any boards or any color changes or paint changes." So that's why tonight is an important night for you to be online. The next person, you can go onto Netflix, look up Mary Kondo. Mary Kondo is not a minimalist, but she teaches people how to organize their lives, organize their rooms, their shelves, their clothes. And it is, if you go through, she's got 2 or 3 um, part series that she presents. And each one is in a different kind of home, different circumstances, and she helps those people change their lives. But it's an emotional thing. And then the next one is The Minimalists on Netflix. Pardon me, when I did the writing of the presentation, I didn't make it a capital M. I guess we want to minimalistically do the change. Minimalists are a group of 2 guys, and I need to tell you the story because the story makes the whole thing a lot more exciting. The one guy on the left, Josh. Josh decided he's going to change his life. He's got too much stuff, and he says most of it was just stuff and clutter. So he started changing his life, and he did it a certain way, which I'm going to tell you just now. And he met his friend on the right-hand side one day at the Subway. It's a sandwich, like some of you know about the Subway sandwich franchise. And he said to him, "Let's go and have a coffee," because they were friends since childhood. And they went and had a sandwich there. And sorry, Ryan and Josh. Ryan is on the left, Josh on the right. So Josh says to Ryan, "Why are you so happy? Why are you so full of energy and life?" He said, "I've become a minimalist." And he said, "What is a minimalist? What is that? What the H is that?" So he started explaining. He said, I was tired of the way my life was cluttered and so busy and stuff all over the place. I decided I need to make some changes." And he said, "Well, what changes did you do?" He said, "What I did was I decided I'm going to give myself a challenge. And the challenge is I'm going to start today to take one thing out of my house that I don't need anymore. And then tomorrow, I'm going to take 2 things out that I don't need anymore. The next day, I'm going to take 3 things out. The next day, I'm going to take 4 things out." And he said, I'm going to do one of 2 things with those things that I'm getting rid of. I'm either going to donate it to charity or somebody I know that needs it, or I'm going to give it away. Sorry, throw it away. Because there's certain things that you have that probably will have no value to anyone else. And he said, I did that until my house was uncluttered and I feel so much better about everything. So, so Josh says to him, I want to do that. He says, I want to, if that's how it makes you feel, I want to do that with my life. He says, okay, when do you want to start? He says, no, the way you're doing it is just too much for me. We're going to, he says, is there not another way? He said, we're going to have a packing party. Now, the packing party, I will explain to you shortly. So, how do we start? Because if we take the best of all the people that are talking about minimalism and tidying your life, it always starts with your clothing. It starts with your cupboard. And if you take, for instance, what Mary Kondo does, she goes to your cupboard, she starts the thing with you, she doesn't do everything for you. She helps you take all the clothes out of your cupboard. And then you take one item after the next, and then you got three piles of clothes. You create three piles. One is, yes, I love this. I would like to wear it a lot. It's stained. The second one is, I'm not sure. I don't think I wear it so often, but I'm going to put it in the unsure pile. And then the third one is, I don't wear this ever. I don't have any love for this. I'm just putting it on the charity pile or the selling pile. And some people are rigid and easy um, to make decisions. She then either, this is staying in my cupboard, this is something that I associate myself with, something I wear and appreciate, and the other pile is, I need to get this out of my house. And it's a very emotional thing. If you had to do this, I mean, sitting on a call and listening to me talking about it, but actually go and do it. To take all your clothes out your cupboard, throw the whole lot on the bed, and then go through these and create a pile of these clothes that will go to a charity, go to someone that can appreciate it. There's even hospice shops around South Africa. So if you don't know, there's like all the major cities and towns. And I know Pretoria, there was two. There was one in Linwood and the other one in Centurion. And you just go and there's a place where you give it in and they write it up and they put prices on. And then the old people that are in hospice receive the benefit of you giving that away. So often we're holding on to so much, and yet our hands are closed while we're holding on and we're not giving, we're not opening our hands. And that's the difficult part for everyone is, I don't want to give this away because I'm still so attached to this. So there's different kinds. I've just put up a few different kinds of the people, but if we think of somebody that is an arty person, they need boxes or shelves. They need to have a place to sort their stuff because art people just have their stuff lying everywhere. So if you can have your paint brushes in this, different color paints in a different container, etc. Corporate people, the same. They need like drawers or containers so that they know where every different document or different kind of stationery is. Musical people are emotional people. I think if we take arty and musical people are pretty much the same. But they're emotional and then they have instruments and pages lying everywhere. They need stands to put stuff in. And sometimes because they're living in their heads and in the air, sometimes that everything is lying around. For somebody that's got the engineer mind or some computer people, they need to keep their hard drives clean because the hard drives are getting cluttered and there's so much stuff that's stored on hard drives. And recently I managed to acquire someone that's a friend of mine who this couple that the husband died and she started selling all these hard drives and computers and all of that. So I acquired an extra 1.5 terabytes of hard drives, two of them. And that helped me a great deal because everything slows down when the hard drive gets full. And so when our lives are cluttered, it's hard in our heads, the hard drive is getting full. So I want to discuss different life cycles that you and I go through, because the life cycles determines where you are in life. And sometimes it also shows where the confusion is, because when you're living with someone that is untidy, leaves everything all over the show, and you're the one that, or some the housekeeper or someone else has to tidy up after them, and that takes time to tidy up because they just didn't put everything in the right place when they had the opportunity. I'm going to explain some of the life cycles that we all go through. The first 9 years of our life, it's called the air phase. It's I don't know if you ever heard of the human PIN code. I think some of this information could boil down to very much the same thing. Um, you learn to eat, you learn to talk, you learn to ride a bicycle. So up until the age of 9, that's what you do. You just um, the air coming out of your mouth, the air coming out of someone else's mouth teaching. Then from the ages of 10 to 18, it's the emotional side. Water is known to be the representative of emotion. If you look at the sea and how boisterous it is, that is emotion. And teenagers have a lot of emotion. They are continuously at each other, they're continuously fighting and spreading rumors and telling stuff. That is the water phase of your life. So to get a teenager to, excuse me a moment.
Take now. Back. Yeah, the one guy did a test on a mango, a sheep, a Coca-Cola. I think the mango came back positive. Full.
All right. So teenagers are emotional. They are sensitive to everything that any rumors that they hear being spoken about them. They need to be treated like with kid gloves. But then from the age of 19, when they leave school, they go through the fire stage of their life. Somebody that's from the age of 19 to 27, they know more than their parents, their grandparents, their ancestors all combined. They know more than their teachers. They want to conquer the world, and they do that. They go to university and they just you want, it's like everything is on fire, even the hormones. But from the age of 27, 28 to 36, then kids want to settle down. So often people can't understand why someone at the age of 25 or 26 is still like highly hormonal and so on. But then at the age of 27, I think the age of 27 is where kids actually um, commit suicide. It's Amy Winehouse was 27 or 28 when she died, and it's because you're going flat out. You conquered the world, but now there's that thing how you want to settle down, and that's actually the best time to start thinking of getting married. And I think people have found more stable relationships after the age of 28, 30 than I had this conversation with a friend. He said he met this girl that they were in teenagers, um, childhood sweethearts, but then they both got married with other partners, and now they got together. So I said, but if you think of when she was 19 and 20, wasn't she giving you a hard time? And he said, yes, she was telling me how religious she was and how she wanted me to live and spreek die Levite voor. So that is basically 28 to 36 is settling down time. And then from 37 to 45, you start the air phase again. From 37 to 45, people want to learn new things. They start reading books. From 46 to 54 is the water time midlife crisis, is the time when your hair, your forehead starts getting longer, going backwards, and you start wearing caps and sunglasses, and you're buying these sports cars with that have the hoods going down. I mean, I went through that same phase. And then 55 to 63 is the fire phase again. You can find anyone the age of 55 now. They want to start new business. They want to conquer the world again. And then from 64 to 70, then there's this I'm tired. I need to start thinking, settling down. So when we start thinking of someone that's in the, let's say, the settling down parts of their life, it's easier to talk to them about feng shui and minimalism. But somebody that's in the fire stage of their life between the ages of 19 to 27 or 55 to 63, clutter is going to be normal for them. It's just going to be, they can't sit still. They can't sit down for a moment. The only time they're sitting still is when they've fallen asleep behind the TV or fallen asleep behind scrolling on their phones. And then you've got to take them to bed, or they need to wake up 2 hours later and get themselves into bed. So, where do we start with our minimalism? The idea, the first one is Ryan that did one item per day, and then he increased it to 2 items, 3 items, 4 items. Whereas Josh said, I'm gonna do the packing party. I don't want to take a long time to get this done. I don't want to go through all this pain. I just want to make decisions. You take one item out every day, and there's no taking one item out and throwing it out, or putting it in a box to give to charity, or give it to your friends, or selling it is no problem in today's time. But it must out. It must find the biggest box you can put it in and put it there. And if you haven't used it in weeks or months, it must go. You can increase the whole thing, as I said, to 2 items per day, 2 items per day, and the next day maybe 3 items, 4 items the next day. So remember, items you cannot get rid of are just your idols. You cannot let them go. They're in your hand and they need to stay, because things that you're holding on to, because this person gave this to me, that person gave, put it on an auction. I'm going to tell you, auctions have been a great help in my life for a lot of things. I mean, I'm on auctions all the time, and I can show you which auctions to sell your stuff on. Or you can do the packing party. And the packing party that Josh did was simple. He said he packed everything that he had into boxes, wrote the names down of all the items in the boxes, or the general names. And in the next 3 weeks, he took everything out that he needed out of the boxes back into his house, because he needed his knives and forks. He needed some plates. He needed dish towels. He needed the bed. He needed the things that he needed. And then, of course, after 3 weeks, he either sold or gave away the rest of the items, because those are the items he didn't need. So if you want to make it 4 weeks or 6 weeks, that's fine. But at least that helped him minimize, and him and Ryan became, let me just show you the picture. These two have become quite a thing in America. They travel from one side, they've got their own podcast, they got their own YouTube channel. They have their money coming in through all of their advice that they give. So even though they're minimalist and they don't have any adverts on their site, they believe no adverts. If you don't want to pay me money, then that's fine. So what are the results of doing something like this? It's simple. You know where everything is. You know where, in which drawer, in which place to find things. There's no scurrying around, looking all over. Oh, I can't find this. I don't know where I put this, blah, blah. And you and your partner knows where stuff is, and you can help each other find the stuff quickly and easily. Time and speed is essential in the day and age we're living in. How much quicker do you move if you don't have to fall over everything? I'm going to give you Elon Musk 5-minute advice. I've got his book that was written about him. The guy, he actually didn't want a book written about him, but the 5-minute rule is simple. He said, if I don't feel like doing a task, but I know I have to, I put my stopwatch on my phone and I give myself 5 minutes to do as much and as quickly as possible to do that task. So if I need to tidy a desk, he says 5 minutes. And that is enough motivation to do it quickly. And he says he ends up sometimes doing 10 or 15 minutes, but at least he's done it. So the thing about having a tidy place is you can walk in and walk out at any time of the place without falling over things. And then what you do is you can create a rule for putting things. For instance, you're in a rush. You can put a bowl or something in your kitchen or your house where everything that you need to look to put away in that bowl, and then at the end of the day, you can just put it in its rightful place. Having a tidy place gives you confidence. You can have friends and family over at short notice. You have you don't have things that you're holding on to that you are really worshiping. So you're not worshiping stuff anymore. And short notice, I have an aunt, her personality is like that. You can't just, hi, Nolene, I'm coming to visit you. No such thing. Her house is as tidy, more tidy than any other house I've seen, but her personality, so you can't just arrive. Because there might be a granule of dust. So you get extremes also. So let's start summarizing what we have here. Books must be put in bookshelves, and they can be put tidy in a row. Make sure that they're all sitting on the edge of the shelf. Put your clothes in the cupboard, fold them a certain way. Go and look at Mary Kondo. She's got stuff on YouTube also, like the minimalists. All of their stuff is on YouTube. And at least the benefit is you have got money in your pocket. You can put stuff on auctions. You can give to charities. Nothing nicer than dropping off a whole lot of stuff at charity. It lightens your burden. And of course, lightening your burden is less social media, less tabs open. So, folks, we've gone through this quickly. There's lots of information that you can go and get off YouTube, but hopefully this has kind of inspired you to take your surroundings to the next level, because everything that we hold on to can be an idol or is an idol. Have a great evening, folks, and you're welcome to send me a private message anytime you want to give me some feedback. It would be nice